Okay, good afternoon. I'm Mayor Francis Suarez, the mayor of the city of Miami. Obviously, we're all here because tomorrow there's going to be an event in downtown Miami at the courthouse, and we wanted to assure the public that we've already begun preparations for the event tomorrow. We're joined here by the Chief of Police, Chief Morales, who has, and we'll talk about what our plan for security is for tomorrow, and to make sure that everyone has a right to peacefully express themselves and exercise their constitutional rights, and obviously do it in a peaceful manner. In our city, we obviously believe in the Constitution and believe that people should have the right to express themselves, but we also believe in law and order, and we know that, and we hope that tomorrow will be peaceful. We encourage people to be peaceful in them demonstrating how they feel, and we're going to have the adequate forces necessary to ensure that. There may be, depending on the crowd size, some road closures, so people who live in the downtown area should expect additional traffic and should prepare for that. It's not in our initial plan. Initially, we're going to sort of take it step by step, and I'll let the chief explain how he will make that determination as to what roads are closed, how they're closed, and when they're closed. But the commuters should expect the possibility of some disruption. We are prepared for a variety of different size crowds, and obviously crowd size is dependent on a variety of issues, including but not limited to the weather. And so we have the ability to increase our capacity if necessary. Our fire department, fire chief, I spoke to him right before this press conference, and he has assured me also that there will be an increased fire rescue level of preparedness, including EMS services and what he would consider a number of on-duty personnel that are both at the task and command level. We're happy to be joined by our partners from Miami-Dade County. Thank you so much for being here. Obviously, we have at some level overlapping jurisdiction, and we're working not just with them, but I think it's safe to say we're working with partners, our law enforcement partners at all levels, to make sure that we're communicating, to make sure that we're prepared, to make sure we're sharing information, and ultimately to ensure that tomorrow goes off without any hitch. And so we wanted to ensure the public that we are ready. Thank you, and now I'm going to turn it over. Yeah, for sure. Yeah. Soy el alcalde de Miami, Francis Suarez. Estamos aquí para asegurar al público que estamos listos y preparados para el evento que va a suceder mañana en Downtown. Tenemos el jefe de la policía nuestra, Manuel Morales, tanto como personal del departamento del condado que están aquí en un refuerzo y apoyo de nuestros esfuerzos. Estamos colaborando con diferentes agencias de seguridad para asegurar que tenemos todos los recursos necesarios para que la gente pueda expresar sus inquietudes, pueden expresar su derecho constitucional de expresarse, pero sabemos que ellos lo van a hacer y esperamos que lo van a hacer de una manera en cual vamos a poder garantizar la seguridad de todos los residentes de nuestra ciudad. Aquí en Miami nosotros respetamos la Constitución, pero también respetamos la ley y vamos a comportarnos de una manera en cual, si Dios quiere, no vamos a tener incidente. También estoy asegurado que el jefe del Departamento de Bomberos y Rescate ha aumentado la fuerza de preparación para este evento, incluyendo tener más camiones de emergencia y personal del rango de liderazgo para tomar decisiones en el momento. El jefe va a tocar la posibilidad de dirigir el tráfico a otras calles o posiblemente cerrar a calles, y eso va a depender en la fuerza de personas que vienen a protestar, incluyendo las circunstancias. Así que él va a tomar esa decisión en el momento y él lo va a explicar. Ahora voy a pasar el micrófono al jefe nuestro de policía, Manuel Morales. Gracias.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Manny Morales, Chief of Police, City of Miami. Since the moment the announcement was made, we have been planning and preparing to ensure that the City of Miami is safe and secure. I can assure all our residents, our stakeholders, and the visitors that are in the city at this time that we are working very closely with our federal, state, and local partners to make sure that we have a comprehensive approach, right, that is going to ensure that we maintain not only peace and order, like the mayor said, but that everyone has the right to express themselves and the First Amendment rights. As he mentioned before, we're going to be using a unified command approach, meaning that all the individuals that are able to make any type of significant decision that impacts the deployment of resources or the shifting of strategies and techniques that we're going to be using to keep the city safe will be in the same room all together, working in unison. We will be conducting layered approach, right? So at the beginning, depending on the crowd size, we're going to determine what street closures or what detours are necessary, but what we really don't want is inconvenience anybody. Make no mistake about it, we're taking this event extremely serious. We know that there is a potential of things taking a turn for the worst, but that's not the Miami way, right? We have plenty of experience not only working together, we have extremely high confidence of the residents and the folks that live here in the city of Miami. They are used to demonstrating, they are used to exercising the First Amendment rights, and they are incredibly respectful and supportive of law enforcement here in South Florida. So even though we're preparing, we're bringing enough resources to handle crowd anywhere from 5,000 to 50,000, we don't expect any issues, right? So we appreciate the public's help, everybody going out there and expressing themselves in a peaceful and civil manner. As far as any other details, any other closures or any incidents that might be of interest to the press or the public, we will be letting those out as time necessitates, right? But that's as much as we want to discuss right now, but just I want to assure the city, we are ready, and we're ready for it to be over and gone. Give me a second before it's Spanish. Let me do Spanish real quick. Manuel Morales, jefe de la Policía de la Ciudad de Miami. Desde el momento que el anuncio fue hecho, que el evento iba a tomar lugar aquí en la Ciudad de Miami, estamos preparando en conjunción con nuestros compañeros del nivel federal, estatal y local para tener un plan comprensivo que va a asegurar que todos tengan la oportunidad de seguramente expresar sus derechos constitucionales. Quiero asegurarle a todo el mundo que estamos tomando este incidente con sumamente serio y que estamos listos y preparados para mantener la ciudad segura. Lo que les recomiendo es a nuestros miembros del downtown que por favor tengan paciencia, van a hacer algunos cerraduras de los caminos, el tráfico va a estar bastante pesado comparado con otros días naturales, pero es un evento que esperemos dure un día nada más y la seguridad y de todos nuestros ciudadanos, visitantes y los comerciantes en el downtown es la prioridad número uno para nosotros. ¿Okay? ¿El número de agentes que dijo que están preparados para entre 5,000 a 50,000? ¿Puede decir eso en español, por favor? En estos momentos estamos preparados, tenemos bastantes recursos de todas las agencias que nos han llamado para ofrecer su ayuda y estamos listos para manejar, sean 5,000 individuos que se presenten o 50,000. Estamos listos, estamos cómodos para eso. I'm sorry, can you repeat that? We have not.
Sir, who is in charge of the security around the courthouse, the streets, the sidewalk? Who's in charge of that security?
As it is usual with with Miami-Dade County and the incredible partnership we have with all the law enforcement agencies, it's a multi-agency approach. Right. So we're all responsible to keep Miami safe.
So it's you and the state and the county police that are in charge.
And the federal agency. The property itself is a federal property.
So will there be barriers, metal barriers?
We're not ready to discuss that at this time.
Okay, because, sir, before you go, because we're getting, I'm Shimon Lopez from CNN. We've been hearing from people in the building around that area that they're concerned that there's no hardening around the area, the perimeter, and that people can just freely come and go. There's yellow tape right now that's been placed. Mm-hmm. Will that change? Because there is a lot of concern that people may try to storm the building or try to enter some of that area. I mean, are you going to harden that area?
Well, what I can tell you is reach back to the folks that have reached to you and tell them that there's no reason to fear. that we got things well ahead.
Thousands of people respect these issues.
Okay, it's fine.
How can you say there's nothing to fear?
Because we're ready for it.
How can you say that?
Guys, can we get one at a time? Can we get one at a time?
One at a time.
I understand it, but how can you say there was nothing to fear? I understand.
Because we're preparing, we have experience in handling large demonstrations. This is the city of Miami.
Right. You're gonna start closing the streets.
As traffic becomes backed up, or if we have an abundance of folks that necessitates them to occupy space on the streets, then we'll make those decisions as the PCC or the Police Command Center determines.
I'll get you. I'll get you. I'll get you.
No, we have we have not reached out to Florida National Guard.
Have there been any specific threats or posts or anything that you all are taking serious specifically?
There has been a lot of posts, none that I'm aware that can cause any concern of any type of credibility.
We're gonna take two more questions in English, and then we're gonna go to Spanish.
Yeah.
Two more questions.
Mr. Mayor,
Yeah.
Andrew Feinberg with The Independent. The last time former President Trump called for protests on a gate circle,
Yeah.
there was a riot where there were police officers, hundreds of
Yeah.
them injured, some died afterwards. Have you considered asking the former president not to call for protests? Have you spoken to him?
I have not spoken to him. I don't have his phone number. But I will tell you that during the George Floyd protest, there were tens of thousands or thousands of people on our streets in Miami. We were prepared. I think we were a model for how to deal with those protests in the country. And I have full faith and confidence that our department, as the chief just said, that has dealt with many kinds of protests that are very, very large, will have the right action plan and will have the right resources in the right place to make sure that there are no incidents.
Mr. Mayor, do you agree with the chief that there's nothing to fear? People shouldn't be worried about anything?
I think the chief has been clear. Give me 1 second. I think the chief has been clear that we're taking this very seriously, and that we are prepared for what will happen tomorrow, and that as he's indicated, we have a lot of experience in protests of this magnitude. Like I said, during the George Floyd protests, that were multi-day protests, multi-week protests, frankly. Thankfully, there were not many incidents. We had a lot of resources at our disposal that were very unique, in my opinion, in the country, and allowed us to manage things without hurting anyone and without unnecessarily large numbers of arrests. So I feel confident that he has a plan in place to get us there. Sí, por favor, let me do in Spanish. Let me go to Spanish. Yeah. Sí. Sí. No, el jefe ha indicado que no hay una amenaza específica. Es general, obviamente, la preocupación. Y como nosotros lidiamos con las protestas durante el incidente con George Floyd, nosotros tenemos mucha experiencia lidiando con manifestaciones que son grandes, que son de miles de personas. Tenemos recursos que son diferentes, yo creo que de los recursos que tienen otras ciudades, que han sido muy efectivos para manejar un público grande sin tener un incidente. Gracias. Let me go ahead. Go ahead. Yes. This is not, I'm not here to talk about politics. I'm here in my role as mayor of the city of Miami, projecting confidence to our residents and to the residents of the country that we're going to be ready for tomorrow to make sure that there isn't anything that is not representative of, as the chief said, of who we are as Miami. So I'd rather leave that for another conversation, if you don't mind. En español. Bueno, lo que explicó el jefe es que él está listo y preparado para una protesta que puede ser tan pequeño como 1,200 personas y tan grande como 50,000. No, él ha dicho, hemos visto cosas en las redes sociales, obviamente, que indican que va a haber una protesta. Como yo expliqué al principio, las protestas tienen que ver con muchos factores, con si está lloviendo, no está lloviendo, etc. Yo tengo la mayor confianza que el jefe y el departamento, que somos 1,400 policías, que son increíbles, que cuando tuvimos estas manifestaciones durante George Floyd, la forma en cual ellos actuaron fue fenomenal. Yo tengo la mayor confianza que vamos a estar listos.
Una pregunta más en español.
Yeah.
Una más en español en
Compare on the interagency coordination and the size of what you're expecting with other events you've seen in Miami.
The George Floyd one was very large, thousands of people, and it was multi-dayed. I thought we handled it very well. We did things not to create unnecessary confrontations. We gave people a space to express themselves without unnecessarily creating confrontations. In that moment, in that particular case, we had a curfew that we implemented. We had a variety of different resources that we used that I thought were different than other cities in America, and they allowed us to de-escalate without creating incidents. And so I think we'll be able to use those tactics again.
La última pregunta.
Sorry.
Alcalde, la preocupación que es
Sí.
real de que no hay barreras físicas.
Sí, no, yo lo escuché, señor.
Exactamente, sí, en
Sí.
español, si no lo puede-
¿Cómo que no? Mira, yo tengo que depender y yo dependo sobre la sabiduría y la experiencia de nuestro departamento de policía, que ha lidiado con eventos de este tipo o más grandes en el pasado y lo han hecho exitosamente. Yo tengo la mayor confianza que cualquier eventualidad que sucede, vamos a estar listos para esa eventualidad. Si la protesta es más grande, posiblemente vamos a utilizar diferentes recursos para mantener la seguridad que si la protesta es más pequeña. Así que agradezco la pregunta, lo entiendo, y vamos a tomarlo en cuenta con nuestras preparaciones. Gracias. We do not. We do not know. Bueno, como explicó el jefe, deberemos de tener la expectativa que va a haber cambios y que si alguien toma esa ruta normalmente debe desviarse o posiblemente ir un poco más temprano al trabajo. Sin duda, no sabemos el tamaño que va a ser la protesta. Tenemos ideas y puede ser más grande o más pequeña. Y a base de eso vamos a tomar nuestras determinaciones. Thank you, guys.
Are there going to be designated areas
We need to know
for
this,
the
sir.
supporters versus the protesters? Because in honesty, the two of them mixing might be the biggest trouble of all.
Got you. Bueno.
So the logistics downtown make that a little bit difficult. Obviously, if we select based on the crowd size as we're making our determination and we're stepping up our strategic plan, we will have a First Amendment designated area that will have sight and sound. And if we begin to see that there's opposing parties, we'll at that time make sure that they're separated and there's plenty of officers on the scene to make sure that we maintain the safety and security of all.
Can you talk a little bit about the coordination between the city police department and the county, which, you know, in the George Floyd protest, you all worked very closely in coordination. It is a larger department.
It's a seamless relationship. The county and the city of Miami have an incredible working relationship. That was the very first call that I got when the event was announced from Director Freddie Ramirez. What do you need from us? And they have always been there for us and synonymous with us. We work together very closely.
Supporters of the former president can go anywhere around the street, sir? I'm just trying to understand how this, you're gonna be able to, you're not gonna have any areas designated for them. They can just go anywhere they want around the perimeter of the
That's what the freedom speech is.
That's what your plan is
Yeah,
at this point.
absolutely.
Okay, thank you, guys.
Thank you, guys.